Lee has consumable each day with supplication how his 4-person siblings controlled to stay secure and pull through the hardships how include go to determine his ex-nation. Currently, nearly 7 many decades after and in the joint state and polar Korea on the edge of a capacity tactful breakout, 90-year-old Lee is encouraging how he might at recent discover out which happened to his household. For Korean Americans love shelter, Tuesday's summit conference among U.S. CEO Donald Trump card and polar Korean lead Kim Jong-un represents the opportunity, yet hardly, how the two countries may enable families on each party of the dispute to be reunited. But period is fleeing of household reunions for how cause, the time of policy negotiating may as well be their recent opportunity for solution, as lot of these Korean Americans may not dwell length quite to see the results of next tactful attempts. Time polar and southward Korea include lightweight more than rather than a half a dozen opportunities for household reunions in the history. Down there is no formal canal to communicate Korean Americans in their loved ones in polar Korea. In 2015, Convention Gone a Solution How encourages polar Korea to enable Korean Americans to encounter in their household members of polar Korea, and telephone call on polar Korea to get specific stairs to construct goodwill favorable to world on the Korean Peninsula. How Lee Jo-lee escaped via a interpreter. Lee told he united undergraduate movements deprecating the communists while he was 16. He withdrawn one outcry in 1946, while communistic military utilized arms versus the students. It was yet common cold and the snowing had not molten still, while the undergraduate demonstrate happened. And the commanders, which we would urge the police force currently, the commanders closed the showing students on a lorry and fired at them, Lee told, via a interpreter. We stored on marcher, transport the murderous, corpse bodies of comrade students in carts. But the opposition was so powerful versus us how we ultimately had to scatter. He told undergraduate protesters were creature identified and detained, so he knew he had to keep household. Addition to the concern, his household was believer, in an environmental wherever communists did not enable religious. Lee told his household was the goal of observation. His older brothers and sibling, who were already completed in high school, did not get the hazard of part in protests. Lee ended up concealment in homes of Comrade Chapel members, up decisive to go household one recent period to say farewell to his mom. While I see behind on it currently, all my mom could do was scream. All I recall is how we both of barn burst into tears, he told. Lee told just 2 of his brothers were household while he leftward. He did not get to say farewell to the other. In his cardiac, he mind he would be upcoming household come. He mind communism would failure. Which's fun is how, time the by the government was hard to capture me, the man who helping me out was one of the high-up officials. He was a boyfriend of my siblings, so he secured me and managed me up to the 38th concurrent, Lee told, referring the link of breadth how acts as a coarse link of disengagement among polar Korea and southward Korea. Of down there, Lee cross in southward Korea. Time his mom ultimately escaped and lived the otherwise of her year in him, they never heard of his 4 persons some siblings once again. Lifetime following polar Korea. Lee told lifetime in southward Korea was hard at first. He was one. He brought newspapers and ultimately sold out fruits on the road to do cash. He after serviced in the southward Korean troop and fought versus polar Korea forces while war ruined out in 1950. Following military action ceased in 1953, he re-entered in citizen lifetime and learned class high school. Lee got marital and had 3 daughters, one of whom marital and us individual. She was capable to after application for the otherwise of her household to go to the U.S. Lee excited to Annandale, Virginia in the 1990s and became a naturalized U.S. individual. At his elder household, he teaches verse to his comrade residents 1 day a monthly and has a published volume of poems. As for his siblings, Lee told they include perhaps gone off by currently. As Christians, they might include lost in concealment. As well, it is historic registered how while the southward Korean military marched in Hamhung, they found 3 big wells within the jail wherever lot order-leaning human beings were recessed live in their hands connected, he told. He fears how conclusion out the statute of his siblings might conduct to horrific show love how. In a path, he's more than consolation for me to not aware and length for them, quite rather than reception bad news story and creature in ache for them, Lee told. But he yet wants to aware. Lee told he is skeptical of any alleged successful to go of the US North Korea Summit Conference. Yet, he holds expect how the may be at first move in discovery a dialogue for Korean Americans to discover answers.